Hello and welcome to everybody. My name is Janice B. Gordon, co-president of the Professional Speakers Association South East. I'm also a visiting fellow of Cranfield School of Management, teaching sales teams key account management. But also as a professional speaker, I talk about scaling your sales. So I'm really, really happy today to be up close and personal with our godmother, Alison Edgar. Hello, Alison.
Oh, hi, Janice. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's lovely to be speaking to you today and getting your real insight. I know you've got years of experience, and our paths have crossed a few times, hasn't it? So it's great to get up close and personal with you. So, Alison, let me introduce you first of all, because you've got such a sterling career. So since 2014, I know, Alison, you've quadrupled your turnover and tripled your workforce, which is incredible. Well done. And we met through, I think, Enterprise Nation, and I know that you're also a champion of Small Business Saturday, which is a great campaign. And after 20 years experience in the sales industry, you've come up with all of the tips and the tricks in the business, and you've put that together in your 4 pillars of successful sales. And I know it's about behaviors, and you use the DISC profile, which I do as well, which is brilliant. Yeah. And the sales process, sales strategy, and confidence. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. And I know that using this strategy really supports businesses to get the results that they want and to increase their profits. So welcome, Alison.
Thank you, Janice.
So the first question I have for you is about really your early life experience. What was the thing that gave you the biggest impact, the biggest takeaway in your life that kind of carry forward with you?
I think, again, it's probably quite cliched, but it comes from the way that I was brought up. So for me, being brought up in working class Scotland, we were brought up in a council flat. At one point there was 6 of us living in a 2-bedroom flat. But one thing, we might not have had any money, but we had a lot of work ethic. And I think Scottish people are quite renowned for being quite hardy and hardworking. And my parents were always very, they were the forefront of everything I did. And really just with them, just how I was brought up. And I think it stuck with me throughout my whole life that I like to work hard. I like to be rewarded for working hard, which is, part of the reason I moved into sales.
Excellent. And I know you've got a great profile that you're building up in TV, and so it's great to see that you are getting rewarded for all of those years hard work. But I know that you started in 2011 on the path developing the sales coaching solutions business. How did that all come about?
So it was quite interesting because you'd speak to a lot of people, especially around entrepreneurism, and they've always wanted to have their own business. That was never me. I was employee number 16533, and I was really happy with my lot. I had a really good job in corporate sales. My kids were quite young, and I never really felt that, to me, entrepreneurism wasn't ever a word that I was brought up with. It was, you had your own business, and it was only really for the posh people or the tradesmen. So it never honestly hit my radar. But what happened after 15 years working with the same company, we weren't aligned. Their vision of what was good service wasn't the same as mine. And I had no idea what I was going to do. And I phoned my friend in Scotland and I said, this isn't working for me anymore. She went, you're going to set up your own business, teaching people to sell the way that you sell. I thought, that's a great idea. I am going to do that. So that very day, I got the domain name registered. And again, like when you start a business like Sales Coaching Solutions, like I just kind of made that up. And touch wood, what I didn't know at the time, it actually works quite well for SEO because the clue's in the name. And what I did, I think I'm quite haphazard. I was like, yeah, let's go. But I'm married to the most sensible man in the world. And he's like, nope, you're not giving up your job. Nope, Nope. So touch wood, my kids were quite young and I was doing part-time a couple of days a week again, but it was a lot. I had a company car, I had healthcare, I had a great everything. So I decided to take the little tiny steps by setting up while I was still employed, which again would be one of my top tips to anybody thinking about starting a business. No matter how fantastic you think your idea is, take it gently, because cash flow doesn't come easy. So if you can start your business when you're still working, I would do that. And then that was it. So I kind of, between 2011 and 2014, now this is my husband's words, not mine. He just always said that I was playing at it. You're just playing at this. And in 2011 and 2014, I thought, oh no, I'm not going to bother. I could just go, and it was just those. I just didn't have any direction and clarity. And it wasn't until 2014 that I incorporated the business, and I went VAT registered. And I think there was a catalyst, and I think at times in everybody's business, things just happen and it's the right time. And you and I both know at that time, Janice, there was growth vouchers on the go, which meant we could do our jobs, the government would part fund it, and it was just a winner for everyone. So that was the catalyst. And I think, again, timing is the right thing for everyone. For me, that was the right time. So that's why, again, between 2011 and 2014, there was a lot of playing at it. And it wasn't until I said to my husband, right, I'm going to do this, he then took me seriously, because if you don't take yourself seriously, people won't take you seriously either.
Yeah. And the results shows, really. So I know that you're a professional speaker. So tell me, what's the most beneficial aspect of being a professional speaker?
So to me, again, this is one of these things that's just sort of fallen to me rather than me searching. And I think everybody's got natural talents. So some people can sing, some people can play the piano, some people can dance. I can't do any of those things, but for some reason, when I go on stage, it's just like the magic happens. I've never been trained to be a speaker. I never really advertise myself as a speaker, but when I take to stage, people just seem to love it. And what makes my heart sing is people actually learning to sell properly. And for me, the speaking and being on stage is really just a route to teach more people and get better, them getting better message as a group. And another thing that sort of has happened when I worked in corporate, there was always the mission statement and the vision statement. And it was like, that's a pile of pants. Really, what is this stuff all about? I couldn't get it. But now I have, I think your mission statement and your vision statement come from your heart and your passion. So the mission statement is, I genuinely believe when it's delivered correctly that sales and customer service is exactly the same thing. The vision statement for the company is, I want to be the Adele of the sales training world. So, I can't wait. It's on the bucket list that I will fill a stadium like Adele. But you have to, do a couple of gigs at the local Spit and Sawdust pub to be able to get to where you want. So to me, it's not that, I don't get me wrong, I do like the glory, I do like the fame sort of side of things, but it's more that I want my message to hit more people, which is why, I love speaking, and speaking just seems to love me.
Good for you. So what's the biggest problem that you see businesses make with their sales process, and how do you go about fixing it?
Well, it's hilarious because I think the word sales process doesn't actually hit the radar of a lot of companies. They don't have one. So for me, there's two sides to process. And again, one of the pillars in the methodology that I created is process, but it's slightly different to how a lot of companies perceive it. So to them, the process is the physical, for example, I meet someone at networking. The process is I put it in the CRM. The process is I follow up within 24 hours. So you've got two. The other process to me is the one-to-one, the conversational process, which again, as you mentioned, it fits into DISC because we need to adapt. But a lot of people do not know how to lead a conversation, how to lead a sales conversation. So, I think one of the things I think that's really shocked me, we're going to talk about the book in a minute, but when I wrote the book, it was one of my biggest fears because I'm dyslexic, so the fear of writing was massive. But I think I was more frightened of what people would think, and they would all think, "Oh, that's really simple, everybody knows that." But actually what I found is not everybody knows that. So, we talk about imposter syndrome. And I think that I've had imposter syndrome around the book, really. I'm like, oh, it's been really scary. So I think no matter what you see, you see people out there who all that glitters isn't gold. And I look at a lot of the personal development stuff, and it's, filmed from the business class of the plane or whatever it is. And, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be scraped through. And I think it's always for me about keeping things genuine. And that's where, again, looking at sales process, you need to have a genuine, sales process to follow.
It's really interesting that you mention all that glitters isn't gold, and the persona that people have and buy into. Do you think that in our world, in the professional consultant, trainer, do you think a lot of that's actually going? A lot of it's come over from America, but do you think a lot of that is now changing, that people are not really buying into, the private plane jet that you hired for 10 minutes that you can take your picture in and, portray yourself as this multi-millionaire and everything and get rich quick? Do you think that's changing now?
Unfortunately not, Janice. Really? I would love to say yes, but I think, so to me, what makes success, what makes, some people get to 6 figures or 7 figures, and I think a lot of people are greedy. A lot of people want the quick win. They don't want to work hard. They just want quick cash, quick gratification. And I think, this might be quite controversial, but I'm never one for holding back. So to me, you've got development, you've got mindset, and you've got skills. And a lot of the personal development space, not all of it, but a lot of it, to me, is a bit like heroin. It's a quick hit, fast high, amazing. You come out of there, you think, that's it, I can conquer the world, I can do anything, this guy can do it, I can do it. But the problem is skills. Without skills, you will never, no matter how much you personally develop or self-develop, be able to achieve those things. And when people say to me, where do I sit? Where do I see myself as an educator? I'm always a teacher of skills. So I believe in mindset for sure. And I couldn't have achieved what I've achieved, without it. And literally, I believe in visualization. So for me, I knew from day one, 2014, when I went, I took it seriously. I was taking it to 6 figures, come hell or high water. And every year I make sure I keep it at 6 and I grow it. So, there's a lot of people, if you read into what they do and what they I've always been in profit. A lot of people in self-development, there's a lot of stuff you need to scrape through because it's not genuine. And again, like heroin, the hit dries and you're looking for the next and the next and the next. It's the skills side, I think, that is imperative to everything that we do.
And that's why I absolutely adore you, because you're so authentically genuine. You do what it says on the tin, and you tell the truth as well, and it's not always glamorous and nice. And I think that other people that follow you, it's important that they understand that there are some days where it's just seems too hard, and there are some, and you need to push through that. And it's great your community that you've built, Entrepreneurs Can, and it's not only you're supporting them, but other people support you through that community and really understand the pressure and the stress that we all go through, really, and it's sharing that, which is absolutely brilliant. So I think it was good to kind of have that discussion about really all that glitters is not gold.
For sure. And I think everyone, and again, we look at the culture, we talked about that earlier. And I think a lot of the culture comes from the US because they are very whoopie-holery, whoop, 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 whoop. And again, I am, like, when I'm on stage, I love that. I do engage, I love it, but I just think, it's always about being yourself. And, there's still some days I go, oh, what am I doing? I could go and get a real job. And then I realised that no one would ever employ me, so I have to just keep pushing through. But again, I think it's tenacity and resilience. And anybody that tells you that they don't go through the lows in entrepreneurism is not telling the truth.
Yeah, it's actually interesting. That point's come out a few times in this interviews that if now, because you're an entrepreneur through and through, you actually couldn't get a job, and people have said they wouldn't employ me anyway. I'm now no longer employable, and I think that's quite common. And it may be at that point where you started to take your business seriously that actually then you became unemployable. You just couldn't go back after that point. Do you think that's true?
Yeah, I think a lot of that mindset, we talk a lot about imposter syndrome. I think when I started the business, I definitely had an imposter syndrome. I think, again, I'm learning all the time. And because I'm dyslexic, I find it really quite hard to read books. So I listen to other people. I've touched wood. I've created a really, a good group of successful entrepreneurs that I surround myself with, young entrepreneurs, again, that maybe been on Dragon's Den or The Apprentice, or, and I think listening to other people. And I think one of the things when we did some research for the Can Clan, I knew a little bit about mindset, but I hadn't studied anything. And I looked at Carol Dweck's studies on fixed and growth mindset. Yeah. And it really, really blew my mind. I absolutely loved it because I thought, this is it. And then I had to do some research, like, is this nature or nurture? Are you born with a fixed mindset or a growth mindset? Can you change it? And I've written a blog, so there's a blog on the website, AlisonEdgar.com, about fixed and growth mindset. And I think actually you can change your mindset. And I think that's where, again, a change of mindset for me really pushed me through to go for it in 2014.
Good. Well, congratulations on publishing your book this March. I was about to hold it up, but it hasn't yet arrived. So let's show us your book.
I know. Oh, you know what? I'll keep it up as I speak. That's Secrets of Successful Sales. It's available on Amazon.co.uk and .com. Never miss an opportunity, Janice.
Exactly. Beautifully done.
But it's quite, so when we were off air, you were saying, like, I really wanted to hold up the book, but my copy hasn't arrived. And it's really hard because Amazon sold out of books on day one. And we're sitting here writing a blog at the moment on how to get your book to sell out on Amazon on day one, which again is great new content to create. But again, it's hard because loads of people wanted it. I had to fend off quite a lot of people going, I've not got my book yet. But I'm not an author. Again, it's like, I'm not a speaker. I'm not an author. I'm just me. And the fact that people love what I've written, are taking it on board. I mean, one of the comments, so it launched a month ago tomorrow, I think it is. And it's already had 39 5-star reviews on Amazon. Yesterday's comment was it compared it to the E-Myth, which is one of the most influential books in entrepreneurism, and somebody's comparing my book. And this is someone I don't know, Janice. Like, I think people think that I've planted all the reviews on Amazon, but I promise, like, people are just like writing all these amazing things. And I honestly, I think over the last 4 weeks, I've spent more time in tears than I have in the last X amount of years. It's so emotional. It's, I think it's the fear of putting yourself out there. And again, for the viewers, what's the worst that's going to happen? People are going to say no, or people are not going to like it. Well, you need to dust yourself off. But when they love it, my goodness, the feeling is just incredible. So, yeah, I can't believe it.
Well, roll on book number 2 then.
Wow.
Once you've created, momentum, you need to continue. And I know exactly what you mean. When I wrote my book, it is very, very exposing. It's really quite difficult to get your head around it. And I remember, I think it was my second book launch, and there was a man that I didn't know that came up to me, and he said, "Oh, Janice, I've been wanting to meet you. And I'm thinking, I'm not famous. Why do you want to meet me? I mean, I know you're here for the book club, but I just thought you happened to see it and dropped in. I don't know you. And we've actually became really, really good friends. But initially it freaked me out a little bit because, you know, like you just say, it's just me. It's just, you know, I'm no different to anyone else. But it's lovely, but it's scary at the same time, isn't it?
It's been incredible. I mean, literally. And yesterday, so it went to #1 in 3 sections pre-launch. Then it went to #1 again on the day of the launch and a couple of days after. And then it hit #1 again. But yesterday, so this is the 4th time it's hit #1 in the product management category. I got the official little Amazon bestseller little tag. And I was like, so again, it just all these things that happen. I never take any of it for granted. It's like I never take anything that I do. I came from absolutely nowhere, working class, high flat. We used to live on potatoes and beans. And, you know, a lot of people are quite cliched and they use that as a, how far have I come? For me, it's like, oh my goodness, how far have I come? I can't believe it, rather than, making it cliched. But, you know, it's not where you start, it is where you finish. And I never regret where I started. The same with, you know, I was in a conversation with one of my friends and she said, do you not wish you'd done this years ago? Do you not wish you'd started your own business? And I went, no, honestly, no, because, you know, at the time and when my children got to high school, I was 44 when I started the business. It just felt like my time to shine. And that's where now I never take for granted any review, any sale that I make, any good feedback that I get. I just cannot believe it's happening to me.
Well, it is. So tell us about the methodology in your book, the 4 key pillars. Yeah.
So what actually happened, sorry, Janice, the phone's ringing in the background, sorry. What actually happened was I used to sell advertising to small businesses. So that was the company that I worked for. And what happened with, I would be in and out the business arena all the time. So I would see people, and again, ultimately to try and sell them advertising. But what would happen was a lot of the time they would go out of business. When the phone didn't ring, they didn't know how to proactively sell. And I because I've been working with the company a long time, I was starting to build really nice relationships with these people. So it broke my heart when they were getting out of business. So that's when I thought, well, actually, not on my watch. I can take my skills and teach them. So what I then had to work out, well, what did I do as a top performer that other people didn't do? Because in a big company, you've got people who hit one, miss one, hit one, miss one. What did I do that they did, they were doing differently? And that's where the methodology came from, because the top performers, and it wasn't just me, there was a group of us, but they were chameleons. So again, they could use discs, they can adapt to more people so that they build stronger relationships. And then again, sales process. So again, not putting it in the CRM, but what did they actually physically say? When did they physically say it? And then the third thing was strategy. So, you look at, you kindly at the start said, obviously, I was one of the UK's top 10 business advisors, Enterprise Nation, Small Business Saturday. A lot of the stuff that I did was strategic at the beginning of the journey, and I call it hanging out with the movers and shakers. So, we both know Emma Jones, and she's just my girl crush. She is my, I love Emma. And I always wanted to be Emma's friend. And of course, being Emma's friend, she's very well connected. So if I have a glass of wine with Emma, I go, Emma, you started off with a sales strategy and now you're my friend. And she, like Emma, did the foreword for the book and the testimonial for the book. So again, I think a lot of people don't have a proper strategy. Where do they want to go? How are they going to get there? And then the fourth key pillar is confidence. And this is the bit, especially in the startups, the micros and the owner-managed businesses, this is the bit that I see they just struggle, is confidence. And the reason they struggle is they don't know behaviours, they don't know sales process, and they don't have a strategy, because with the other three, the fourth pillar of confidence just comes. So it took me a wee while to come up with this. When I started the company, I had no idea what I was going to teach or train, and that has evolved. And again, I think evolving in a business is really good as well.
Yeah, so you've actually tested it out and honed it all long before you wrote the book.
For sure. And I mean, this is what I teach. So if you look at really the book comes as the byproduct of what I teach every day. So, you know, under the Sales Coaching Solutions brands, I'll work with sales teams. So bigger companies with a sales team. And the reason that I created the Godmother, when the government pulled the funding for growth vouchers and growth accelerator, the people who needed me most didn't have any money. So how on earth can I teach as many people as I can my methodology? And the book was really the natural progression to teach more people to get to mass market, because at £10, most people can afford that. And again, they can take that. So that's where, you know, the Godmother came around, because there was a real need for the startups and micros and owner managed who's got no money. And the name came about. I've got a client in London who makes gin, and he is the naughtiest boy that I've ever worked with, Janice, honestly. And I phoned him and I said, look, I really, but what about the Alison Edgar? And he went, oh, that's really easy. You're the entrepreneur's godmother. I'm the entrepreneur's godmother. So again, the timing on that just was perfect as well, because it came at the bit where I was looking to, you know, re-evolve the company as well.
So tell me about your global ambitions and, you know, the steps that you've already taken. You've worked in the US and Kuwait. How did that all come about?
So again, I think if you look at strategy, you've got to know where you want to go. Adele doesn't just sing in the UK, she sings all over the world. So if I'm going to be Adele, I've got to sing all over the world. I've got to train. And again, I'm very strategic with my social media. So I'm very active, like you are, Janice, on social media. So a lot of the things that I did, especially Kuwait, I mean, it's really interesting, and I think your viewers can learn from this, that somebody looked at my LinkedIn profile, no more, no less. And that happens to every single person on LinkedIn every day, but it's what you do with that. So I'd noticed it was from Kuwait. I love the Middle East anyway, to be fair. I love Dubai. So I thought, oh, I'd like to do some work there. And I contacted her and said, I noticed you've looked at my profile. You know, were you looking for something specific or just to widen your network? And she came back and said, I'm looking for someone to run the first event in the Middle East of its kind, teaching entrepreneurism and sales. So I thought, oh, great, fantastic, that's me. So I took it off LinkedIn and onto Zoom, and we had a conversation, and then it went from there. So I think it was a 3-day, it was hard work, really hard work, but it was 3 full days. But again, it's quite a lucrative market as well in the Middle East. And then with the US, again, that came through LinkedIn. So I've done some work in San Francisco. And again, I don't even have to leave my house. We managed to I can train a whole room, a whole group of people from my kitchen. And look at technology like we're using now. It's amazing. So the plan, I've got an agent now who's looking after me. So fingers crossed we'll have some more international. And and that's where I think speaking is a definite gateway to that. If you can command a good room, if you can get people to learn from what you say, if you get good feedback, I think it just springboards from there.
Good for you. And there is a lot to be learnt, and I think actually it's having a persona like Adele. Just ask Adele, really, isn't it? And then that kind of gets you through to do the next thing, really. So I think I'm going to be looking for. Actually, I think I'm Oprah Winfrey. I really do. I take on that persona when I might be a bit anxious and whatever. I need to do something. I just think, come on, Oprah, let's go for it, and I'm off, really. So I think that's a really good strategy.
It is, and it's nice. So a lot of the stuff now, I've got some high-profile entrepreneurs that I work with. So one of them, for example, is Jordan Dakin, and Jordan was the youngest ever contestant to win funding from Deborah Meaden on Dragon's Den. And I've been working with his team since he's been 19. He's now 22, and the company's now valued at 20 million. Janice, that's 20 million at 22. That's, it's never too late or never too early to shine, is it? No. And one of the things, Jordan's fairly quiet. So although he's got an absolutely amazing business brain, he's quite a quiet boy. So I've been doing quite a lot of fireside chats where I've been interviewing him. And sometimes actually it's just as nice, isn't it, to interview as it is to be the interviewed. And you learn, you know, so much and pick the story out, which again, sometimes when you deliver your own story, it sounds a bit like bragging. Whereas if you're being interviewed about your story, it sounds a lot more natural, which is lovely. Yeah,
it is. So, just to kind of wrap up your story for now, I'd like to ask you, if you're on a desert island alone, what would be the one thing that you would take with you?
This is going to sound really bad, but my iPad. I cannot live without my iPad. It's attached to my hand. It would be my husband, my children, and my dog would be the first preference. But if I can't take them, definitely. And again, on your iPad, you can have music, you can have social media, you can have your email. You'll never be lonely without your iPad or other devices which do the same things.
Yes, thank you for that. You're not the only one to say iPad, isn't it? You know, it's the kind of technological world that we live in. But it has been an absolute pleasure. I mean, I know that we could go on talking for hours and hours. You've got so much insight and experience. And what I love is that it's really just, it's very much down to earth. You are who you are, and you're absolutely gorgeous. And you are my godmother. So thank you so much. When I get the book, I'm going to be posting a picture of me and the book. Of course, I'll do a review, but, you know, I've got it finally. I think you've actually done this as a strategy to create a bigger demand by, you know, this is the book. I'm going to be reading that blog about how to create a #1 bestseller. It's like, make it invisible.
Yeah, that's you know, well, the thing with it is everybody's a FOMO. They've all got fear of missing out. So it definitely did drive sales. It wasn't planned. You definitely did. Good for you. So it is available on Amazon, the reprint. It'll be coming through soon. But also I want to say everyone, the Entrepreneurs Can is a really great Facebook group that Alison runs. I'm a part of it. Great discussion. So get the book and join us on the Facebook page. So thank you very much, Alison. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me, Janice. All right. Take care.